If you're drinking 3 or 4 cups of coffee every day and still feeling exhausted, foggy, and unable to focus by mid-morning, here's something shocking most people don't realize. It's not your coffee that's failing you, it's your aging brain that can't use it anymore. Researchers now say that plain coffee after age 65 actually works against your body. Most seniors assume drinking more coffee is the answer, but that's a complete myth. When you drink coffee alone after 65, your brain's ability to use glucose for energy can drop by about 10% or more. Caffeine stays in your system 33% longer, causing jitters and anxiety, and plain coffee does nothing to address the inflammation, silently destroying your mental clarity. Think of your brain like a locked door and coffee like someone pushing on it. After 65, that door gets harder to open because the key that used to work, glucose metabolism, doesn't fit anymore. Coffee just keeps pushing harder, wearing you out with jitters and crashes, but never actually getting the energy where it needs to go. But here's the good news. Researchers have discovered you can add specific ingredients to your coffee that unlock that door by providing alternative fuel sources. Your aging brain can actually use stabilizing blood sugar to prevent crashes and reducing the inflammation blocking your mental clarity. Today, we're counting down 5 powerful ingredients ranked from least to most effective for people over 65. Number 1 is backed by research showing 80% of elderly participants with cognitive impairment either stabilized or improved, results researchers said they had never seen before from a single dietary change. Before we start, quick question. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day, and do you get energy crashes? Drop your answer below. Number 5. Matcha powder. Matcha powder contains a compound that solves one of the biggest problems people over 65 face with caffeine, which is the jitters, anxiety, and that wired but tired feeling that leaves you exhausted even though you can't sit still. The active compound in matcha is called L-theanine, an amino acid that naturally occurs in green tea leaves and has been shown in multiple studies to reduce the negative side effects of caffeine while maintaining alertness and focus. A 2008 study published in Biological Psychology found that participants who consumed caffeine along with L-theanine experienced significantly improved accuracy on attention-switching tasks and reduced susceptibility to distracting information compared to those who consumed caffeine alone, and brainwave measurements showed increased alpha wave activity, indicating calm alertness rather than anxious stimulation. L-theanine doesn't block caffeine or reduce its effectiveness. It actually modulates how your brain responds to caffeine by increasing levels of calming neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin, while simultaneously supporting dopamine production, creating what researchers describe as relaxed focus. For people over 65, this matters tremendously because caffeine metabolism slows down significantly with age, meaning that the same cup of coffee that used to clear your system in 4 hours now lingers for 6 or 7 hours, and without L-theanine to balance it, that extended caffeine presence leads to prolonged jitters and difficulty sleeping. Adding matcha requires a specific technique because the powder is very fine and can clump. Start by adding half a teaspoon of matcha powder to your empty coffee mug, then add a small splash of hot water, about 2 tablespoons, and use a small whisk or fork to mix it into a smooth paste with no clumps. Once you have a smooth paste, pour your brewed coffee over it and stir again, and you'll have a vibrant green-tinted coffee with a slightly earthy, subtly sweet flavor. Look for ceremonial-grade or culinary-grade matcha rather than bottom-shelf options, because higher-quality matcha has more L-theanine and better flavor. And while it costs more upfront, you're only using half a teaspoon per cup, so a small tin lasts quite a while. While matcha helps balance caffeine's jittery effects, the next ingredient addresses something even more fundamental to your brain's ability to use the energy from coffee. Number 4. Cocoa powder. Unsweetened cocoa powder transforms your coffee into a powerful brain-protecting beverage backed by solid research. A single tablespoon contains high concentrations of compounds called flavanols that have been extensively studied for effects on cognitive function in older adults. A landmark 2012 study published in Hypertension tracked elderly participants with mild cognitive impairment who consumed cocoa drinks containing 500 to 900 milligrams of flavanols daily for 8 weeks. And researchers observed significant improvements in processing speed, working memory, and verbal fluency, with brain imaging showing increased blood flow to critical areas involved in learning and memory formation. As you age, small blood vessels in your brain become less flexible and efficient at delivering oxygen and nutrients to brain cells. And this reduction in cerebral blood flow is one of the primary drivers of memory problems and slower thinking. Cocoa flavanols work by increasing nitric oxide production in blood vessel cells, and nitric oxide causes blood vessels to relax and dilate, dramatically improving blood flow throughout your brain. Multiple research reviews have found regular cocoa consumption in older adults was associated with better cognitive test performance and potentially slower age-related decline when consumed consistently over months. Cocoa also contains small amounts of natural caffeine and theobromine, providing mild, smooth stimulation that works synergistically with coffee's caffeine for sustained mental clarity without sharp crashes. After brewing coffee, add 1 tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa powder to your mug, pour in a small amount of hot coffee, and stir vigorously for 15 seconds until fully dissolved with no clumps. Once smooth, pour in the rest of your coffee. The critical detail is choosing natural or non-alkalized cocoa powder because Dutch processed cocoa has been treated with alkalizing agents destroying up to 90% of beneficial flavanols. Look for labels saying natural cocoa or raw cacao powder, typically found in health food sections rather than baking aisles. The flavor is slightly more bitter than Dutch processed, but creates a rich mocha taste when combined with coffee. While cocoa improves blood flow to your brain, our next ingredient tackles something equally important that's quietly destroying mental clarity in millions of seniors. Number 3. Turmeric with black pepper. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory agents ever studied. Chronic low-grade inflammation is arguably the single biggest driver of age-related decline, contributing to arthritis, heart disease, memory loss, and cognitive impairment, and inflammation levels naturally increase as you age even when you feel perfectly healthy. A 2018 meta-analysis in the Journal of Clinical Medicine reviewed multiple trials and found curcumin supplementation significantly reduced inflammation markers in older adults with effects comparable to some prescription anti-inflammatory medications without the side effects. Beyond inflammation, turmeric has remarkable effects on brain health. A 2018 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Intermediary Metabolism found curcumin helped people with type 2 diabetes manage blood sugar more effectively, critically important for people over 65 because poorly controlled blood sugar damages brain blood vessels and accelerates cognitive decline. Research suggests curcumin may have mild mood-elevating effects by increasing a protein that helps your brain grow new cells and connections. The major challenge with turmeric is that curcumin is extremely poorly absorbed by your digestive system. When researchers tested turmeric absorption without enhancers, very little curcumin made it into the bloodstream and most passed through unused. The solution is black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine that increases curcumin absorption by 20 times according to research in Planta Medica. Adding just a tiny pinch of black pepper transforms turmeric coffee from relatively ineffective into one delivering therapeutic curcumin levels. Adding turmeric and black pepper requires a different preparation because turmeric doesn't dissolve well in water-based liquids. Heat a small amount of milk or milk alternative like almond or coconut milk in a saucepan on low heat until warm, then whisk in half a teaspoon of turmeric powder and a tiny pinch of black pepper until completely smooth. Once combined, pour into your brewed coffee and stir. The fat in milk is important because curcumin needs fat to be absorbed properly into your body. For people preferring black coffee, add a quarter teaspoon of turmeric and tiny pinch of black pepper directly to coffee with 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. The flavor has a distinctive, earthy, slightly bitter, warming taste that takes a day or two to adjust to, but most find it grows on them quickly. For maximum anti-inflammatory and brain protective benefits, consume turmeric coffee daily rather than sporadically because curcumin works by accumulating in tissues over time. While turmeric fights the inflammation blocking your mental clarity, our number 2 ingredient addresses the energy crashes that send so many seniors reaching for another cup every 90 minutes. Number 2. Ceylon cinnamon. If there's one ingredient that deserves to be in every cup of coffee for people over 65, it's Ceylon cinnamon. Half a teaspoon contains powerful compounds proven to help regulate blood sugar levels, absolutely critical because blood sugar control becomes increasingly difficult as you age, and uncontrolled blood sugar is one of the fastest ways to accelerate aging, damage your brain, and drain your energy throughout the day. The fundamental problem is that after age 65, cells become more resistant to insulin, the hormone responsible for moving sugar from your bloodstream into your cells, where it can be used for energy. When this insulin resistance develops, blood sugar spikes dramatically after meals and then crashes hard a few hours later. This leaves you exhausted, mentally foggy, irritable, and desperately craving more sugar and caffeine just to feel remotely normal again. A groundbreaking study published in Diabetes Care found participants with type 2 diabetes who consumed 1 to 6 grams of cinnamon daily, roughly half to 1 teaspoon, experienced significant reductions in fasting blood sugar, with some seeing 18% to 29% improvements within 40 days of consistent consumption. Even without diabetes or pre-diabetes, these blood sugar stabilizing effects prevent energy crashes that send so many people reaching for another cup every 2 hours throughout the day. Cinnamon works through multiple mechanisms. First, it makes cells more sensitive to insulin, so they can take up and use blood sugar more efficiently. Second, it slows down how your body breaks down carbohydrates in your digestive system, preventing sharp blood sugar spikes that inevitably lead to crashes a few hours later. Beyond blood sugar control, cinnamon contains powerful antioxidant compounds that reduce inflammation throughout your body, protect brain cells from damage that accumulates with age, and according to research in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, may even improve memory and cognitive function in older adults. The absolutely critical detail almost nobody knows is there are 2 completely different cinnamon types, and most people are unknowingly using the wrong one. The cinnamon typically found in grocery store spice aisles is cassia cinnamon, and while it contains beneficial compounds, it also contains extremely high levels of a compound called coumarin, which can cause serious liver damage when consumed regularly in amounts needed for therapeutic benefits. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, contains approximately 95% less coumarin than cassia cinnamon, making it dramatically safer for daily use in quantities that actually provide meaningful health benefits without any risk of liver damage. Ceylon cinnamon is admittedly harder to find than regular cinnamon and costs slightly more, usually about twice the price, but it's absolutely worth seeking out at health food stores, specialty grocery stores, or ordering online, because using it daily gives you all benefits without safety concerns that come with long-term cassia consumption. Adding Ceylon cinnamon is hands down the easiest modification, requiring literally 0 preparation time and taking about 5 seconds. Brew your coffee exactly as you normally would. Pour into your mug, add half teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon powder, and stir thoroughly for about 10 seconds to ensure it's fully incorporated and doesn't clump together. The flavor is naturally warm, slightly sweet in a way that has nothing to do with sugar, and complements coffee's bitterness in a way most people find immediately pleasant without any adjustment period. For absolute maximum blood sugar control and sustained energy, drink your cinnamon coffee with breakfast or within 30 minutes after your morning meal rather than on a completely empty stomach, because consuming cinnamon alongside food helps moderate and slow down carbohydrate absorption from your meal and prevents those sharp spikes that lead to crashes later. Many people report that simply adding Ceylon cinnamon to morning coffee completely eliminates the mid-morning energy crash they used to experience like clockwork, and they find they can easily go 3 or 4 hours between cups instead of desperately needing another one every 90 minutes. But if cinnamon stabilizes your energy, the number 1 ingredient actually gives your aging brain a completely new fuel source it can use when the old one stops working. Number 1. Coconut oil. This single ingredient fundamentally changed what researchers thought they knew about supporting brain health in older adults. 1 tablespoon of coconut oil contains medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs, which are a specific type of fat your liver converts into ketones, an alternative fuel source for your brain that becomes critically important after age 65. The reason this matters so profoundly is that as you age, your brain gradually but steadily loses its ability to efficiently use glucose for energy, the primary fuel your brain normally runs on. This decline in your brain's ability to use glucose is one of the earliest detectable changes in Alzheimer's disease and age-related cognitive decline. Even if you never develop Alzheimer's, this reduced glucose ability is why so many older adults experience brain fog, slower thinking, difficulty concentrating, and memory problems that worsen year after year. Ketones bypass this problem entirely because your brain can use ketones for energy even when struggling with glucose, essentially providing brain cells a backup power source that keeps them functioning when glucose metabolism fails. A landmark 2022 study in Alzheimer's and dementia followed 20 participants with probable Alzheimer's who consumed coconut oil daily for 6 months with remarkable results. 80% either stabilized or showed cognitive improvement, with those consuming coconut oil for continuous 9 months showing even better results. Average participants consumed about 1.8 tablespoons daily, providing roughly 25 grams of MCTs, and researchers noted longer exposure and participants over 73 showed highest cognitive score improvements. This was the longest duration study of its kind, and the lead researcher stated at a medical conference that in decades of research, they had never seen such consistent cognitive benefits from any single dietary intervention in elderly subjects with cognitive impairment. A 2023 meta-analysis reviewing multiple trials found coconut oil and MCTs improved general cognitive function in people with mild cognitive impairment and early Alzheimer's, with significant benefits on standard memory tests used by doctors. Even for people without cognitive impairment, research shows coconut oil improves memory function and mental clarity. A controlled trial in BMC geriatrics found elderly nursing home adults receiving 6 grams MCTs daily for 3 months experienced about a third better performance on memory tests compared to a control group showing decline. The mechanism is straightforward but powerful. Within about 30 minutes of consuming coconut oil, your liver begins producing ketones that cross into your brain and start fueling brain cells starving from impaired glucose metabolism. Study participants often report feeling mentally sharper, thinking more clearly, and having better recall within the first week of consistent use. Adding coconut oil to coffee requires one important step, preventing oil from separating and floating on top in an unappetizing layer. After brewing coffee, add 1 tablespoon coconut oil while coffee is very hot. Then, use either an immersion blender for 10 seconds or pour into a regular blender and blend on high for 15 to 20 seconds until coffee becomes creamy and emulsified, similar to a latte. This blending step is absolutely critical because it breaks coconut oil into tiny droplets, staying suspended in coffee, creating smooth, rich texture many find more satisfying than regular coffee. The result is often called bulletproof coffee, enormously popular in health circles because of how sustained and smooth the energy feels compared to regular coffee. Coconut oil is solid at room temperature, so store in a cupboard and scoop what you need each morning. And if coconut taste is too strong, look for refined coconut oil with completely neutral flavor versus virgin coconut oil with that characteristic tropical coconut taste. For maximum cognitive benefits, research suggests consuming coconut oil in morning with coffee provides your brain ketones during daytime hours when you need most mental clarity for work, reading, conversations, or activities requiring sustained concentration. Some discover that coconut oil coffee is so satisfying and provides such sustained energy they can skip breakfast entirely or delay first meal several hours without hunger or energy drop, which is a characteristic of ketone-fueled energy versus the quick spike and crash from glucose-fueled energy. The real beauty of coconut oil is it directly addresses fundamental metabolic changes happening in your aging brain by providing alternative fuel that continues working efficiently even when glucose metabolism has significantly declined, and extensive research demonstrates this produces real, measurable improvements in how your brain functions day to day. Which of these ingredients are you most excited to try first? Have you already added any of them to your coffee? Drop a comment below and let me know your experience, because I read them all. And if you found this video helpful, Hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching, and here's to finally getting the sustained energy and mental clarity you deserve.